Hello, welcome to Bentley's Backwoods Bushcraft, and this is Richard. So we are in the Bushcraft bunker. I guess we could name it that. It's not a bunker. It's a small room in my home, but you know how I am about keeping things. Bentley's Backwoods Bushcraft. Anyway, this is Bentley's bunker, or my Bushcraft bunker at this point. I have been watching a few videos on YouTube, and it's something I don't really get a lot of time to do much anymore, but I did get a few of them watched, and I did notice I kind of ran into cooking kits. Kind of fell into that somehow, and I watched a guy go into Walmart and select several items from Walmart from random areas and created a cook kit with it. Well, I saw that and I thought it was fantastic. It was really cool. He spent, I'd say, about $25 constructing this cook kit, and it's a fantastic cook kit. But I looked at it and I said, I can make that cook kit for nothing. I can do the same thing he did, but spend $0. Now, of course, I have a lot of that stuff here in the house, which most people will have. So what we're going to do is I'll come right back and we'll discuss that further.
Alrighty, so here are the tent pegs. 52 cents. Cups, $5. And the steel cooker nesting cups for $15. Alrighty, there is the utensil holder. I found it in a bizarre place, but there it is. So I scanned this and it does ring up as $3.48, so it's not that expensive, like $9 thing. Here's the two tent pegs sitting in there. And you have your Stanley cup that sits there like that. And he had another cup right here. So right here is about a $23 cook kit. So we're going to go home and we're going to make this for free.
Alrighty, so now let's take a look at my absolutely free version of that kit. So there are going to be various versions of this, and you can add and take away anytime you want, which is one way I like to do things. If something works, I use it. If it doesn't work, I get rid of it. Very eclectic. That's how I do my martial arts. If it works for me, I add it to what I'm doing. If it doesn't work for me, I just throw it away and don't worry about it. So here we go. So let's kind of separate this up here. So the first thing is this big tin here. Alright. What I did was I used some hangers, some old wire hangers. If you got access to those, a lot of people don't have access to wire hangers anymore, but I used some of those. I used tons of tin cans, pair of wire cutters, pliers. I used a Dremel, but you don't have to. If I was using a nail, one of these large nails that I use for camping, and a hammer, and I was making holes, which is how I made this here. I just hammered it in there. It does make the back rough, and I may or may not get a sander on my Dremel and sand that down. I don't know, it just depends. But this big tin here, I think these are called number 10 cans. I'm not 100% sure, but it's the large industrial restaurant type cans. So all I did was I put a bail on it using a hanger, and I started to drill holes in the back, but it was becoming difficult and just time consuming, and I didn't really care to do it. But what I did do is I cut the front here, put a little hole there, and I do have these 3 back here and these 3 up front here for a purpose. So I decided not to cut any more for air vent. I figured it wasn't going to be necessary since this large thing here was going to feed the fire, and also the top should generally be uncovered most of the time. But if later on I decide I need to add holes, then I can poke holes in it with a nail. Even if I'm out in the field, just a nail and a rock, or axe handle, just something. I find something to put holes in there. Nope, too much. Alrighty, so anyway, this is going to be my main hanger. It can hang. If I want it to hang, it'll be able to hang, or I can sit it on the ground because this is where my fire is going to be. And I'll show this to you here in a few minutes when I go over here to the table. Of course, the lid. Now with the lid is somewhat optional. I can use the lid because I placed all these holes in it, and I can put the fire in here, and I can actually use this lid to sit here like this, and I can heat stuff up. And I also have another variation of that, and I'll show you. Matter of fact, just get away from this here real quick and we'll continue on. So anyway, here's a tin. I think this had oranges in it or something like that, some fruit. But I put a couple holes in it, and then I can make a bale to hold that. A Spam can. Again, I put holes. I put holes on this side and on this side because I wasn't sure exactly which direction I was going to use. And then just a little piece of hanger that I cut and just sit in there. There we go. And that tightens it, and I can use that as a bale as well. I made a cup, and I used one of these tomato cans or whatever was in it, and I used some wire from a hanger, and I made a little cup with a handle. Basically, I just twisted the hanger around it until it was secure. So now I have something that I can actually hold on to and drink. And then I have this tin here that I put a bale on. And I'm not sure. I think these are. I think these have tomato soup. I think this is tomato juice. I think this is tomato juice can, but it's a good sized one. Again, a bale. And okay, inside here I have 3 pieces of wire, and I couldn't honestly tell you how big they are because I didn't really have to measure them by length. I measured them by what I'm using them for. And this is just a piece of hanger. Let's see here. It looks like I used 3 hangers totally in this project. But let's go ahead and move all this stuff here. Let's see if I can't. There we go, right there. Let's move all that stuff off of the table and get it set up, and I'll show you how this is going to work. Alright, now here's the entire kit. Now, I will say this. It does not necessarily, as it is now, does not necessarily nest together very well. As a matter of fact, this can is I can remove. This can is just a tad bit taller, so the lid does not necessarily fit down onto it completely. There is a space there. To me right now that's not a big deal, but if it becomes an issue, I can always cut this rim off kind of about where the hole is there. If I cut the rim off at that point, re-put holes into it, then this will nest down into this pot, and then I can set this on here and enclose it all together. Now, I may or may not do that. I'm not 100% sure, but at the present time, it's just really not a big deal for me. So anyway, we have this pot here. We have my cup with lid. And I have two just various little knick-knacky things that I can use if necessary. So basically how this works is I'm going to take these three pieces of wire and I'm just going to run them through the holes that I made, and they're just going to sit there. Now, if I wanted to make this a more permanent thing, I could bend these wires, but I don't really want to do that because then I can't remove them and then everything won't nest together. But there we go. We have these wires just like that. Okay? Now, again, if I'm in some type of situation where I want this off the ground, I can hang this in a tree or hang it off of a tripod or something like that. It can literally sit off the ground and I can still have fire there. Then this pot would be my cooking pot, and it just sits in there and then sits on top of those three wires. And there we have it. So here we can see here, this is where the fire would go. I would put my fire in here. There's plenty of space here for it to get oxygen. Plus we have the top here. There's plenty of space up here for it to get oxygen. So having holes around it is not necessary. Then I have the three wires that I have in there to support my pot, which just sits there. And there you go. And then I can just cook with this. This can cook. This will be my cooker. I can use my cup right here. Put my meal in there. I have a little handle. I can set this lid on there. Keep it warm. Then I have varying different pieces, like this one particular instance here. I have this little tin, then I have a little tin like this. But I can make any kind of variation of pots and cups and pans that I want. Alright, so with this system here, let's say that I don't want to use this like this. I can remove that. I can either leave these in or I can remove them. I'm just going to remove them for now. I can use the lid. I can start my fire in here. I can place this lid on top. Now I have an area that I can cook on. And of course, whoop, did I hit that? Yes. We're going to pull out my ever popular Jiffy Pop popcorn skillet. I love this thing. I use it a lot. As you can see, it's been used. It can sit right there, and there we go. Now we have something I can cook on in this direction. If for some reason I lose the lid, still works. I still have my grate that I can use, but even if I don't have that, right here, a piece of wire mesh sits right on top. There we go. It still works. Have something in here, right up there. Not a problem. Right there. There we go. So this thing is super versatile. Yeah, it doesn't look, it's not professionally made. I mean, you know, if you're looking for, if you're wanting to just look good out in the camp, feel free. There's nothing wrong with that if really all you're looking for is to look good. But this right here cost me nothing. I had the clothes hangers. You know, I had all these tins. Not one thing here I had to go out and purchase to make this. This is strictly 100% off of everything that I have and that most people will have in their home. This doesn't really take a lot of ingenuity to dig up. Now, I will say it's possible that the only thing that could be difficult to find are the hangers, because wire hangers just aren't popular anymore. So that may actually be difficult, but you can find wire anywhere really. But here's my version of that cook kit. And as I said before, that cook kit costs $25 if you purchase it at Walmart. And that's a good price. It is a good price. I will absolutely tell you, it's a decent price for a cook kit. But I'll be honest, you know, I just oh. There we go. I'll be honest, I just got a major pay cut in my finances, and I lost a third of my paycheck, and that's the main pay that my wife and son and I live on right now, is my disability. And because my son just turned 19 in 2 months, he no longer gets his portion of the Social Security check, and that's a third of what I was getting. So yeah, that's a big pay cut. So there's no way I can go out and spend $25 on that really cool kit, which is awesome. It's a great kit, and it would be nice to get, but I can do the same thing right here for nothing. So thank you for watching Bentley's Backwoods Bushcraft, and enjoy the outdoors, even if it's just your own backyard.